The night the forest went silent, true Bigfoot terror in Oregon. I grew up hearing stories about strange things in the woods, legends passed down by my grandfather and whispered around campfires. Tales about giant creatures, shadowy figures, and the forest men that watched from the trees. But I always chalked those stories up to tall tales and overactive imaginations. Until one cold October night in southern Oregon changed my life forever. It started as a regular camping trip. Me, my cousin James, and our childhood friend Marcus. We were headed deep into the Rogue River, Siskiyou National Forest for a weekend of peace, beer, and catching up. No cell service, no noise. Just us and the wilderness. We parked our truck at the base of a logging trail and hiked about 3 miles into a clearing James swore was the perfect campsite. We set up camp just before dusk. The place was silent, almost too silent. You could hear the wind pushing through the tall pine trees and the occasional crackle of our campfire, but not much else. No birds, no animals, no crickets. Just stillness. That night we stayed up late talking about life. James had just gotten divorced. Marcus was between jobs. I had moved back home after getting laid off. We passed a bottle around, laughed too loud, and stared up at the stars. It was somewhere around 2 a.m. when it happened. At first, it was just a strange feeling. You know that sensation when you're being watched? The hair on your neck stands up. Your chest tightens. It was like the entire forest had stopped breathing. Even the fire seemed to dim. Then we heard it. A low snap, like a thick branch breaking just beyond the tree line. James froze mid-sentence. Marcus glanced toward the sound. I grabbed my flashlight. I flicked it on and aimed it toward the woods. Nothing. Then came another sound. This time it was heavier. A slow crunching of leaves and twigs, as if something massive was shifting its weight just out of view. I whispered, "You guys hear that?" Marcus nodded. "Something's out there." We stood there in complete silence, listening. The sound stopped. Then we saw them. Eyes, glowing amber eyes, reflecting the light from our fire. They were high off the ground, way higher than a person's. Maybe 8, 9 feet up. And they blinked. Once, slowly, deliberately. Then we heard the grunt. It was deep, so deep it vibrated through my chest. A guttural, primal growl that sounded like it came from something with lungs the size of oil drums. Something took a step forward, and the eyes moved with it, revealing a silhouette. It was huge. We could barely make it out in the shadows, but the shape was undeniable. Broad shoulders, thick matted fur, arms that hung down to its knees. It wasn't a bear. It wasn't a man. It was something else entirely. It stood just beyond the light of the fire, staring at us. For what felt like an eternity, maybe 30, 40 seconds, we didn't move. None of us spoke. My heart was pounding so loud I thought it might give us away. Then, just as suddenly, the creature turned and stepped backward into the darkness. The crunching footsteps faded into the trees, and the silence returned. We didn't sleep that night. We sat up with the fire blazing, clutching our knives, waiting for whatever it was to come back. It didn't. But the forest never went back to normal either. There were no morning birds, no deer tracks. The woods felt empty, but also heavy, like something had passed through and left a piece of itself behind. We packed up as soon as the sun rose, barely speaking. When we got back to the truck, Marcus pulled out his phone and opened the voice memo he'd left running the night before by accident. We played it on the way home. You could hear us talking. And then, around the 2-hour mark, you could hear it. The grunt, the footsteps, that growl. We never told anyone else what really happened. We said we cut the trip short because of the weather. But the truth is, that night changed everything. It made me realize that sometimes the legends are real. Sometimes the forest goes silent, because something else is listening.